everyone. Well, the colored pencil collection video was complete, and a lot of you asked how soon you had to wait for the watercolor pencil collection video. Originally, I was going to wait a while, but I just decided, you know what? Let's just belt them all out. So after this one, I will do my watercolor crayon collection, and then I will be doing a marker collection video. And then I will just do everything else I use in my adult coloring books that doesn't fit into these categories. So we're just going to belt those out. All right, so I'm not starting in any particular order. Now, one thing I do want to say about the watercolor pencils you're about to see is all of these are going to be in the watercolor pencil battle. So this will also get you a preview of every pencil I'm going to be comparing in that huge battle. And lastly, before we get started, as always, please, no need for snarky comments. I'm aware I have a ridiculous number of watercolor pencils, but I have those because I'm actually reviewing and comparing just about every single watercolor pencil on the market that we can get easily. I know there's those one-off brands out there. Those aren't going to be included in the battle. I want pencils that we can all get our hands on with ease once I show you what's the best in each category. So keep the snarky comments at bay because this is actually going to benefit you. And I didn't buy all of these, but if I did, you know, it's my own money, but a lot of these were donated. So thank you to those who donated them towards the battle. And yes, I will be getting on the battle soon. I'm finishing up the watercolor crayon battle first. Okay, whew, disclaimer's done. Let's start with Crayola. I haven't put them in a case yet. I did swatch these on a live stream when I was kind of swatching the rest of the watercolor pencils I had. And I've got to tell you, I mean, for them being Crayola, they're not bad. I mean, the pigment is, yeah, pretty light, but a watercolor pencil shouldn't be as vibrant as an ink tint, so you got to keep that in mind. You're getting the effect of watercolor. So these aren't too shabby. On this cardstock, I had a few that didn't dissolve as well, but I have used these on a Johanna Basford coloring book, and they did just fine. And the set of 24 is freaky cheap, so you get a good range of colors. What I look for in a watercolor pencil specifically is, can I make my own colors? Which means I need the primaries at a very minimum. Their red is okay, yellow's perfect, their blue is okay as well. So there we have our primaries. I could make just about any color. And then all the colors they provide, while great, I can still keep mixing these and making more. So it's a good selection overall. The only two I think aren't the best is the peach and the salmon. They're actually very close to one another in color. So I think they could have just swapped that for something else. But it is a 24 count set and it's Crayola, so how picky are we going to be? Okay, still in their box, and always will be, are my Museum Aquarels from Caran Dash. Now, these are, well, like most Caran Dash products, more expensive, but also incredibly light fast. So there's 76 pencils in this set, and here's the reason they're going to stay in their box forever. Not only is the back cover lined, so nothing's going to bang against the cover, but look at this. Each one in its own nestled little thing here protecting it. And these pencils are really pretty. Come on, camera. Okay. So as you can see, it says Museum Aquarel. You can use these dry though too. However, because these are so expensive, I usually stick to just wet only. It has their number, barcode because these are available open stock, as well as their light fast rating, and then of course the name. Now, these have, gosh, like, I mean, if you get Luminance, you'll know it's the same packaging, but you lift them up by these little ribbons, and then on the backs of these is more foam. So like every layer is protected, and because these are so expensive, yeah, I'm not not putting them in a case. They're gonna stay right here. So let's talk colors. These are the most expensive in my collection, and probably the most expensive out there, period, to buy if I think about it. But, okay, so I swatched these actually on watercolor paper. I printed it through my printer and then I just cut it. But as you can see, the colors are very vibrant. These are a much more opaque watercolor pencil than other brands. But I mean, the color is just so rich and beautiful, and the color palette is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at these colors. You have just about everything you need. And by the way, you don't need this full set, like at all. So you could honestly go ahead and just buy 12, like their 12 set, or even some open stock, and you can make all these colors if you order the right pencils. I'm just lazy. When I use watercolor pencils, I'm not going to be mixing on a palette and making colors. I want to just put them straight to paper. So that's for me. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful colors. They've got violets, they've got pinks. Now, some of the names match up with the luminance too. Great selection of yellows, although I feel like one of these could have been swapped for something else. Got your oranges, your reds. Their scarlet is okay, but not my fave over red. But yeah, overall, it's still a lovely selection. You get an ivory and you get a black. So, and then you also get water-soluble graphite pencils. But that is the museum aquarels. Now, if you compare them to, like, say, the Crayola set, you can see how different in vibrancy they are. But let's move on. Okay, next in this beautiful red tin, we have the Caran Supracolor IIs. I do want to show you one thing. Anytime you get a Caran product, they come in these red tins, and you'll open it and you'll have stickers. They're actually meant to be put on the outside wherever you want. I put them on this side, so when they're inside my storage thing, I can just look and be like, oh, okay, that's my Neocolors, that's my Caran Supracolors, you know, just interesting. Okay, these are not as, you know, preciously packaged as the museum aquarels, but that's because, well, the aquarels are like, yeah, really expensive. That said, they are still packaged pretty good. You have little pieces of foam. There's actually one that should go across here, but I lost it. These fall in line with the Caran Pablos. So you can use them on a page and then follow up with your Pablos to shade, or, you know, whatever you want to do, but they're the same colors. Kind of like Albrecht, Durer, and polychromos go together. That's what these do. Now you can use these dry as well and not activate them. It's totally up to you. They are also in artist grade, available open stock, and they do have light fast ratings. I mean, it's Caran So, here are the colors. Really pretty colors. As you can see, they're a little bit more washed out than the museum aquarels, but that's expected. So these are going to be more transparent, but still very pretty colors. Now this is a big set. This is 120. You really don't need this. Just like with the Pablos, they have a gold, bronze, and silver, and I'm like, why? I always hate when they do that for watercolor pencils. I'm like, I don't need a metallic one. I don't even need it in the pencil. I really don't need it in watercolor pencils. So yeah, these are not too shabby, but I gotta admit, if I was comparing these to Albrecht Durer, I'm probably gonna dive on my Albrecht Durer more. Sorry, Caran because these are expensive. They're not like super cheap, but they're not also as expensive as the aquarels. So you have, under each one of these, whoop, there we go, 3 tins. I haven't moved them to a case and probably won't, because I like them in this protected case they're in, and I don't know, I just like to keep some pencils in their tin. All right. Okay, next we have the Faber-Castell Albrecht Durer. They're also hexagon shape like the Supracolor. And like I said, these match up with the colors of your polychromos, except one thing. These use the old names. So polychromo pencils have gone through a few name changes. so they may not always match up, but the number will. They also have a light fast reading, barcode, because these are available open stock, and you can use these dry. There's actually quite a few adult colorists that use them dry a lot, like Shell's channel, she does them dry, and she's really good at it. But I honestly am still like trying to figure out my method that suits my coloring style to use these dry. I've used these quite a bit. I wish they didn't have these cheap, they're pretty much like hair tie material and flimsy, much flimsier than the packaging of the Supracolor. I need to put these in a case, and I think once I free up some cases for my colored pencils, I'll do that. But still lovely. And in my opinion, I like the pigment more, the strength of the pigment more than the Supracolors. These are kind of like a nice strike between Caran d'Ache's aquarels and Supracolors, you know. They're like in between, but the colors are just absolutely lovely in this set. Again, stupid metallics. Why? But you can take your polys and go over and shade if you want. Don't have to. I have the 120 set, and I honestly need to use this more. I really do need to use this set more. My museum aquarels I use very infrequently. I forgot to say how often I use each one. But that's because, you know, they're very expensive, and every time you sharpen, you're like, ooh, did I just do that? Supracolor, I don't find myself reaching for those as often as I reach for these. So I guess that's my brain telling me something. Okay, in this case here, it's one of those cases that have a bajillion zippers, but the single hold, it's like I can't win. But these are the Arteza watercolor pencils. Yes, they included all their stupid metallics and their pencils. These aren't too shabby, if I'm being completely honest with you. I've used these quite a bit. I've used these in a few color along videos too. And the colors are actually pretty surprising considering it's Arteza. That said, I don't think they're worth the price, personally. I think you can get something better. But the color-wise, as you can see, look at the payout. When these are activated, they're pretty good. Great selection, and again, these do line up with their expert line of colored pencils. So the color names will be similar to what you're used to. This is 120 pencils. Do you need these? Absolutely not. You don't need 120 watercolor pencils ever. But I'm the type that wants to use them straight to paper, so I do. But if you don't mind mixing on a palette, save yourself the money. But yeah, these aren't too shabby. All right. Okay, this case has quite a few pencils mixed together, so we'll just use them all, or go through them all at once. The first set are the Derwent watercolor pencils. Now, I actually like these. They get such a bad rap. I don't know why. And these were gifted to me. I was going to take a class, or I did take a class with Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, and then a subscriber sent me these so that I could take the class, which was really, really sweet. And I like these pencils. So they can be used dry, just like the others. The names are similar to other Derwent colors you're used to. But I don't have a lot of gripes with these, so I don't understand why they get such a bad rap. I mean, they're not as light fast, they're not as pigmented, but I don't know, I enjoy them. So here are the 36 colors I have. I keep telling myself I'll upgrade to a bigger set, but I'm like, no, I have enough pencils, let's not do that. But the pigment payout is really quite lovely on these, to be honest, and they dissolve beautifully. So yeah, I actually have no complaints about these. Okay, next over here we have, oops, I gotta pull off all the gift tags. These white ones here are, what are these ones? Oh, these are the Nuvo ones. So I purchased these for the watercolor battle. It only came with these colors here. Let me see if I find this swatch. I do. Okay, so they come in like these sets of 12. Like you can get different sets of 12 to build up the full set. Huge pet peeve of mine. Just lunch them all in one. So I got the Brilliantly Vibrant set. I swatched them here on watercolor paper and honestly was not impressed. Plus, you know, if you want to collect them all, you got to buy their curated sets. That said, I went for this one because it had the primaries, yellow, red, blue. I can mix those. I can make a bunch of stuff. I've got a black that I can play with. I've got a white to add in. So I'm not really judging the color palette too much. I even have a video with Albrecht Durer just showing how 12, you can take 12, create a huge mixing chart. I didn't do the full mixing chart on camera because we would have been there till next year, but let's see. Next is the Lyra Graduate. Okay, these were gifted to me as well. So you got the number and name, and it says Lyra Graduate. So these are like the student grade versus the other, like the Lyra Rembrandt. But here is the colors, and they're not too bad. I mean, for being student grade, they're pretty impressive, right? I mean, look at the pigment payout on some of these. Again, this is student grade. So I always like to point it out that you don't, unless you're doing actual commission work that you're going to sell, you don't necessarily need artist grade and light fast, especially if you're coming from the adult coloring world. This is plenty. They dissolved well, but yeah, these are actually pretty impressive for what they are. They are on occasion hard to get though on like Amazon and such. Okay, next we have the Castle Art. They came in this case. It was actually more cost effective to get them in this case. They're very similar, and they do have the same colors as the 120 Castle Art, what is it, Soft Touch? They're wax ones. So they're not too bad. I mean, honestly, they're kind of what you would expect as a Castle Art product. I don't know how else to put it. The colors are a lot lighter, but again, this is a watercolor pencil, so always keep that in mind. Sometimes you want the wash. You don't want something super thick and colorful like in Inktense, but color selection isn't bad. The order they came in, though, I have to redo that because I'm like, what on earth? However, I do think the color payout is pretty good considering these aren't an artist grade. They do call themselves that, but you guys know what I mean. But yeah, these aren't too shabby. I need to play with them a little more and see how they work in coloring books, but they do remind me a lot of like the Arteza. So if you already have one, you really don't need the other, in my opinion. Okay, next is the Prismacolor. Now I am a big Prismacolor pencil user for the Prismacolor Premier wax pencils. So I was really hopeful that their watercolor pencils would be awesome, and they're just okay. So they do come, this 36 count set comes in this obnoxious tin, and you have to like reach in here and get each little one out, and it has 12 each. But hey, what you gonna do, I guess. However, color payout isn't that shabby. We've got some very, very rich pigments. Some didn't want to dissolve very well, like this indigo here. I don't know what was happening there, but that thing was not water soluble. But the other colors dissolved pretty well. I love the primaries they have in here. You know, say if you get a smaller set. And then I found it kind of funny, they just tossed in a French gray. But what I love is they actually include a gray so that I can mix and change up the hue of my paint, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, the color selection isn't bad at all. I mean, you've got warm and cool of each color in this set. They even give you a couple browns, and these are going to kind of be similar-ish to the Prismacolor Premier colors you're used to, but obviously not as vibrant, and these really suck to lay down dry. So if you want Prismacolor colors, just get the Prismacolor wax pencils, in my opinion. oh, I found a set I need to swatch. So I do have the 50 Sargent Art watercolor pencils. I need to still swatch these, but these will be in the battle. I swear I had swatched them. But it looks like we have quite a few colors here. These are definitely going to be something that I would call budget, student grade, just because of what they are. But yep, I do have these in my collection. Okay, next I have the Staedtler Noris Aquarel. I'm going to have a few different sets from Staedtler because they have a few different sets. So these are the Noris ones. The packaging is actually really adorable. You get a brush on the side, and then here they are, and they even have that similar to the Ergosoft lining, which I found kind of interesting. And then here's the colors. Actually, very nice colors, because these are a cheaper one. They dissolved really well. The pigment pushed around really nicely on this paper. They're vibrant. You do have your primaries. I was like, where do they go? Well, maybe, no, I'd stick with that one. But yeah, these aren't too shabby at all. So I gotta say, for what they are, I do need to go in and label them. But if I remember right, there were no, yeah, I had to manually number them because I was like, there's no names. So that's why. Okay, in this case, oop, that is always so wacky. It opens like this. These are the generals. These were donated for the watercolor battle. Like basically you pull out these trays like such, and you get them. They're called, you might notice them called Kimberly or generals, but there are 24 here, and they have names and numbers, so that makes it easier. They're actually not too bad. Some of the pigments are a little lackluster. Some didn't dissolve as well. But this is definitely a budget watercolor pencil, and considering that, their performance is actually pretty good. So, yep, these will also be included in the watercolor battle. Okay, I know I haven't swatched these yet, but these are Pentel's 24 count watercolor pencils. I need to swatch these. Looks like they have a number on them. Is that the same number throughout though? I always like to double check. Nope. Okay. So they have their own numbering system, so that'll make it easier. But these are going to go in the budget pile because I don't even think I spent $10 on these. So they'll be in the battle under budget category. Okay, next in this nice little tin, we have the Cretacolor Woodless. I really like woodless watercolor pencils. Sadly, I just don't feel like they're done right when companies come out with them. But basically, this entire bad boy is usable, or supposed to be, but this one has a coating. So, they do have a name. I know you can get a bigger set than this 12, but I can't remember how big they go. But here are these. Now, they're called the Monolith Woodless, and these are the colors. Now, considering the price, I honestly was not super impressed. I was like, oh, but I really do like that purple. Like, you still get your primaries, so you could make a total mixing chart out of this and see what you get. And then again, they are woodless, so as you sharpen, you won't have wood shavings getting in your way, which makes it a lot better because it's less waste, not less waste. Okay, I have the Derwent Academy. I did not swatch these yet, or did I? Because one is sharpened and really low. Well, it's not in my pile of swatch charts. But basically, they do have their names on them, so that helps. These are kind of similar to the Derwent Academy regular pencils, only these are the watercolor ones. I just got a set of 12 because, like I said, you don't need like a bajillion unless you plan to use them. Like these I bought specifically for the battle. I really had no intention of using them, but who knows, maybe once I test them I'll be like, oh, I like these. But I wasn't about to drop money on like a 72 count set. Okay, next we have the Goldfaber. Similar thing, I just bought 12 for the testing purposes because I didn't want to waste money on, I've already got 3 full sets of pencils, and actually more, but these are similar to the other Goldfaber products from Faber-Castell. So it's more like a student grade, but it really shows when you look at the colors. So when you put them down, they are, well, they're kind of crappy. These were pulled off the tip of the pencil. I know I swatched these on a live stream, but yeah, the pigment payout pretty much says enough for you there, because I always do heavy pigment here and then I drag the color. The drag is great, but there's just crap for pigment. I mean, where you're dissolving directly on the paper on top of that pigment should be the brightest and it should transition down. But these, I mean, this is the pigment and it's just pretty light. Okay, I have the King Art 72 count set. I haven't swatched these yet, but I could only get it in the 72 count. Come on, camera. So they do have a name and a numbering system. The W means the Watercolor Studio set. But yeah, I could only get them in this 72 count one, and so I was like, ugh. But the color selection isn't too shabby. I lied. I did swatch these. I forgot. I did them on a live stream. Okay, so here are our colors. Again, I didn't want the 72 count set because what am I going to do with that? I wanted them for testing, but that was the only size I could find. Color selection, though, really isn't bad in this set. Now, I do want to make sure everyone is aware, this is not the results of the watercolor battle. This is basically just showing you what pencils are in the watercolor battle. Graphite or water-soluble graphite, like the graphitint, are not going to be included in this because I've decided, you know what? They're not really watercolor pencils. They're graphite. Okay, next we have in this really nifty case, we have the, whatchamacallits, the Staedtler Ergosoft. So similar to the Ergosoft, oh, that case is hard. Similar to the Ergosoft pencils, you have now watercolor pencils. Same type of numbering. They also have that soft covering, exact same type of lead, same numbering system, but the case is so much cooler than the ones the other pencils come in, if you ask my opinion. It's so nifty, isn't it? I get cheap thrills out of packaging. All right, color-wise, here's the colors. Actually, these do really well, and I'll give you kind of a sneak peek. Look how much better they are than the aquarel. Look at that. And these are cheaper. Same thing with the Noris. Noris, aquarel. Noris, aquarel. Just thought I'd show that to you because I found that quite interesting. Okay. I also have the Koh-I-Noor 72. Now, Koh-I-Noor is being freaking confusing with their pencils. They have 2 sets that are called premium, but look totally different. I have not had the time to research, but these honestly look like a Castle Art knockoff. I mean, they literally have the same names too. Cadmium Orange Deep. So, I kind of just classified them as that, because that's the feel I get from these. Color-wise, they're actually quite similar to that of the Castle Art. So are they made by the same people? I don't know, but they have the same names and the same colors and the same, well, performance. So if anyone knows the answer to that, I'd love to know, because I was like, this is just a Castle Art pencil with a Koh-I-Noor name. So I found that kind of interesting. Okay, we're on to the Naomi. These were gifted to me for the battle. And these are really pretty. Like, look at how they're made. Look at these things. So, they have it say Naomi, water soluble. And then we have the number code, color dipped end. And I did swatch these. And check it out, they're not too bad. So you can also get Naomi just regular colored pencils. Why do companies do the metallics though? They don't even dissolve. All the companies that have metallics don't dissolve. And you'll notice Caran Museum aquarels, no metallics. They know what they're doing. But yeah, the color payout on these is quite impressive. So that is something to keep in mind when looking at these ones. And they're actually pretty affordable. So that was another impressive thing. Okay, the Caran Fancolor. Well, these were donated by a wonderful subscriber as well. I basically had a whole list of pencils I still needed to get. And so subscribers were kind enough to buy them and, you know, help me out so I wasn't spending tons of money. I did spend a ton of money, but not as much as I could have. Now, these are not like the Supracolors at all in performance or anything like that. They look like them a little, but they're not open stock, they're not artist grade, and as you can see, the pigments are very washed out on these. They dissolved very nicely though, so that's still something to keep in mind. But yeah, pigment wise, if you're expecting like Supracolor or Museum Aquarel, no. Funny about these, because these popped up on my Amazon and I'm like, crap, did I get those for the battle? I did. The Stabilo Aquacolor. Here we go. These are kind of interesting design. So it has their number, and it says Aquacolor, and then it reminds you this is water soluble, and a cute little dipped in that's just white. I love the feel of these pencils. The color, considering these are budget, actually wasn't too bad. I shouldn't use the word budget so loosely. Cheaper than some of my more expensive sets. But yeah, the color payout isn't too shabby. The way they dissolved was really nice. They dragged really nicely too. So not a shabby pencil. So it'll be interesting to see how these perform in the battle. Okay, next we have the Koh-I-Noor Mondeluz. I totally butchered that aquarel. So these are like they're, professional watercolor pencils. They do have like the cheapest cardboard tabs to lift up your trays, whatever. So these are going to be similar color names to the polycolors, right? Yeah. And then they have their numbering system. They don't have their names on them, but here are the colors for these. Now, these are in a smaller box, so don't go like, judging them too far. That said, very, very bright colors. I have tried these outside of like the little boxes and coloring with them, and still very vibrant. I love the color selection. I had bought the bigger set purposely because I had intentions of, using them after the battle and not just for the battle. Okay, these are the Bruynzeel Design. Now in my colored pencil collection, I had the Bruynzeel Expressions. Those are like their student grade. The Design, which you can also get in a regular colored pencil, are their artist grade, and they come in this crazy packaging. So very thick cardboard box, right? Each one has a ribbon, you pull it out, you've got a tray, and these are freaky protected in here. These weren't cheap either, so I should probably point that out. They have a color number on them, and I just love the packaging. But how do they look in swatches? Oh, let me show you. So considering the cost of these, you would expect these to have some really strong pigments, and they do. Yes, they do. Look at the pigment here. That's strong, and it's beautiful. But they wash out nicely if you need them to. And I had purchased the largest that I could get just because I had a feeling I would play around with them. The only one that I was like, what the heck? This dull cold gray is indeed dull because it's nothing and it doesn't even dissolve. So mine's defective. But I loved the purples, the pinks, the yellows. You've got plenty here to play with on your own. You could certainly buy a smaller set if you want to mix them. But yeah, and the packaging. You're definitely paying some of that price towards packaging. Okay, these bad boys are the reason I bought the Expressions colored pencils. Now, I only got the 36 count of these. So these are the Expressions watercolor. But I was really impressed with how well they did, considering they were very cheap. So that's what made me try the colored pencils. And let me show you. Look at that color. So the color payout on these is really nice. And this is watercolor paper. So, you know, it has more grooves and whatnot. And they dissolved very nicely. The colors are very pretty. I was like really impressed. That's why I was like, I need to try their colored pencils. So you will see these in the battle. But yeah, I don't have many complaints. I've colored some pages with them. I did it. I had filmed part of a color along and then never posted it, but I really enjoy these ones. All right, we have the Fantasia, and because of these, I had ordered their colored pencil line. I'm not as interested in their colored pencil line because, I don't know, they just seem wacky. But their watercolor pencils, these were donated by a subscriber. Watercolor pencils are like really impressive. I found they dissolved beautifully. The colors are just, yeah, wow. I love them. They're bright. But I do have a quick mini tutorial on my channel using them to color a fall coloring page. And these are great. So I can't wait to see how they end up doing in the battle because, yeah, I never would have even heard of these had these not been sent to me. Okay, we have another set that was sent to me for the battle. Now, these are called TBC, also known as the Best Crafts. It says 48 vibrant colors. They're actually a very well-made budget pencil. So I had to number them. Since I've gotten these, maybe they've added numbers, but you all have to see this. These are freaky budget cheap, and look at those colors. Look at them. Are they light fast? No. But this is a budget set. These will be in the budget category. But look at these colors. This is on watercolor paper. And holy crap. I was like, when I swatched these, I was like, nah. And then I kept checking the price. I'm like, nah. Really? Huh? So yeah, super blown away by these things. And these will be competing in the budget category for sure, as well as, you know, entry level. But yeah, I still, every time I look at this, I'm like, holy crap. Really? So TBC, not shabby TBC. I love the case too. Look at this artwork. Isn't that just luscious? I did come with a watercolor brush, but most of the sets that do, I'm like, yeah, I'm not using that brush. Okay, next we have the Magicfly Expert, as they call themselves. I'm not gonna lie, these were exactly how I expected, from quality issues, come on camera, to the pigment payout. I was like, ugh, for Pete's. Now I know the swatches look really pretty from afar, but these actually dried chalky and icky and not smooth. Like, look at it, like it just, yeah. Look at how chalky and awful that one is. I mean, I don't know what the heck they put in these, but for their filler, but these things were, so, you know, I doubt they're going to perform well in the battle, but they may beat others because I'm not saying these are the worst, but definitely not the best. Next, we have the Winsor & Newton. Similar to the other Winsor & Newton studio pencils, only these have a white finish. They kind of look like the Nuvos. They come in this obnoxious little tin, but it's not a big deal. Color-wise, though, these are probably close to one of the others that are rather disappointing, because they just did not dissolve. Their pigment was really lackluster. So we'll see how they do in the battle, but not holding out big high hopes here. All right, next we have Zenacolor. These are also a budget watercolor pencil. I just got a small set, and well, they perform about as well as their colored pencils that aren't water soluble do. Most of them didn't dissolve whatsoever on this paper, at least. Like, look at these ones, like 0. And the pigment was just meh. But these are a super cheap watercolor pencil, so gotta keep that in mind. You know, sometimes you find those gems or diamonds in the rough, but most of the time you get what you pay for when it comes to art supplies. Okay, we have the Staedtler Aquarel. I had kind of shown you guys before how the other 2 cheaper versions did. Now, these are the ones like you see Johanna Basford use, but she makes them look so much better. But she often uses these dry. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But color-wise, they were actually really poorly pigmented. I mean, even in my concentrated areas, I was like, what are we doing? And like I said, the Noris, which are cheaper, yeah. So that's going to be interesting when we do a comparison, especially because these are supposed to be a higher level than the Noris, but they really did not perform like that. So it'll be interesting to see where they land in the testing. Okay, Spectrum Noir. Similar to the color blend pencils, they have the Aqua Blend, and yes, you have to buy them all in the 24-piece curated sets. Oh my gosh, it is so annoying. But I picked the floral set because it would have colors I love. And here they are. Nice and thick pencils too. Oh, come on. One of you get out of there. Well, alright. I'm not going to sit here and... There we go. So a very thick pencil with the name like Watermelon. So cute. Color dipped end. The colors, of course, you know, it's a little harder to judge. But you got a load of pink and purple here. More than you will ever need in your lifetime. But this is the floral set. However, I kind of had hoped or expected that the floral set would include some greens. Wouldn't you? I mean, green is included in florals, browns, possibly a better yellow than pineapple, at least a better red. This is orangey, this is pinky. So yeah, I mean, this like set itself is just overkill on purples and pinks. They dissolved all right though, but I was like, oh, I'm not gonna buy another set though. I can still test performance and whatnot without having every color in the book, so keep that in mind. I found a set I need to swatch. So we have this Cezanne. Oh, that's right. I was going to swatch them because they come with this pretty watercolor paper chart already. So you'll do one dry, one wet. It's kind of cheap watercolor paper, but whatever. All right. Then we've got a color chart here. I need to set these aside so I remember to swatch them. But it says, come on, Cezanne watercolor and a number. It looks like the name is here, but the number, no name on the pencil. So I haven't swatched them yet, so I can't really give insight on the pigment. I'm assuming they're going to perform similar to other brands in this same category. But hey, you never know, because I got those TBC ones, and I was like, holy crapola, look at those things go. So, never know. Okay, next is the Indra Creative Premium. Now these were gifted to me as well by a subscriber to use. Right now they don't have numbers on them, but the new ones do. It came with a brush and a pencil sharpener. Now these ones in the center are their metallics and neons on half of a pencil, which I guess is cool. I don't know. The pencils themselves, though, aren't too bad. I have a color along on my channel using them. Let me find the colors. Okay, so I swatched these on watercolor paper, and the results were not too great. They really did not dissolve on the watercolor paper at all. You can see the lines quite well. But on a Johanna Basford paper, they dissolved just fine. The pigment is pretty good. Down here, some of the ones up here, I'm like, eh. And of course, we got all this neon metallic waste in there. But I don't know. We'll see how they end up in the battle. But at least I have them to try. And there are 66 if you count these half pencils. Okay, now we have the Lyra Rembrandt Aquarel. So these are the artist grade and not student grade. They come in the signature tin, and they have like a little cardboard wrapping. And then we've got, why is my Caran dash pamphlet in there? That's misleading. We got 2 rows here of, oops, it's 72 total colors. I hate these cheap plastic trays. I need to move these over. The pencils themselves look almost exactly like the Lyra Polycolor pencils, except these are water soluble. So you have the name and the number, and these are really not too shabby. That's why I bought a bigger set of them, because I had a feeling I might keep them. But the color payout and pigments and colors overall are not bad at all, and thank you for not wasting spaces on metallic pencils. I love it. But yeah, really pretty colors. I was using these in a live stream not too long ago, so you can go check those out in action if you want. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. Okay, that is it. Now, the reason this was shorter, yet I have a freaky number of pencils. I mean, here's my book of swatches. It's quite thick. Is because I don't want to give too many details or, you know, any impressions other than the ones that I'm like, oh yeah, these are great, if I haven't fully finished testing them or playing around with them. But also they will be in the watercolor battles. So it was a lot easier to just say, here's a pencil, here's the swatches, and not give tons of background info on them. But that said, now you know all the pencils that will be in the watercolor battle. I know some others have popped up. I'm not going to buy them because you can't keep up. And I think this will be testing enough pencils, and I plan to have multiple categories from best, you know, entry-level pencil, best for light fast, you know, best bang for your buck, all sorts of categories. So don't worry, they will be categorized. So some pencils might win twice. One pencil might win in one category, be at the bottom of another. It just depends. But I have quite a big long list going as I'm going through everything. And then I have a very extensive testing sheet I'll be using. But like I said, I'm finishing up the watercolor crayon battle. I have 2 crayons left. And then I will give the results of that battle. 2 crayons left to review. I'll give the results of that battle. And then we'll be on to these. Now, all of these will be individually reviewed and then put in the battle, because it's not fair to just give a quick battle comparison, because some pencils might, in my opinion, turn out to be the best for the budget, but might not be when you watch the review for you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And that's why with the watercolor crayons, you see me doing a review for each one first, because I want to give as many facts as I can, so when it comes down to battle rankings, I can just be like, well, you can go watch the review and see where I got this info. So that was a really long segue into that, but more to come. Let me know if you like these collection videos. I do have my water-soluble graphite pencils, and then like I said, I wanted to do one with my markers and stuff like that. So let me know if these are something you enjoy seeing, and I will finish through my collection. But until next time, everyone, take care. Bye now.